Do you believe that a higher form of non-human intelligence has visited this planet?
I'm certain of that.
You're certain? How certain are you?
100%.
I mean, Jordan, that's a pretty bold statement. Where does that certainty come from?
That certainty comes from my firsthand experience in what I term a psionic exploitation program between the years of 2005 and 2010, where I interfaced and worked with non-human intelligence and things like UAP directly.
And quite frankly, I didn't ask for any of this. I was scouted within the school system through the Gifted and Talented Education Network. In 2005, I began a relationship with a psychologist who would come into my school district, and I would begin to become separated from the rest of my classmates.
We got some really important news coming out of Team Skywatcher. This is the UAP research team that has psionic assets that use telepathy to summon UFOs and UAP. We have a new whistleblower that just came forward, and it's connected to the GATE program, the Gifted and Talented program that has been screening little children in the public school system to test them for telepathy by putting headphones on and having you match colors and do all kinds of stuff. So a little while ago, do you remember, I posted a video on TikTok that blew up and went viral all about trying to see if you remember if you were tested as part of the GATE program. So let's start with that. We're going to review that video, watch it again, and then stay tuned and watch this testimony from a new whistleblower coming forward from Team Skywatcher. Were you pulled out of class and tested as part of the Gifted and Talented GATE program? Here's some deja vu. Listen to this.
This is the first step along your path to a gateway.
Does that sound
A
familiar?
gateway beyond which is discovery. Your own discovery of reality, of truth, of who and what you are.
Do you remember doing the tests with the colored yarn on the pegboards or the little wooden boards with the nails? When you were doing the audio test? Or did they have you do the flashcards where you're supposed to try and guess the colors and the shapes? Were you actually tested as part of a Gifted and Talented program, or were they actually testing to see, as part of a government program, if you had telepathy?
Move your body into a more relaxed position.
If this is familiar to you, let me know.
So maybe let's start by sharing a little bit about your background.
Yeah. So most recently, I worked in the space technology space, a little bit of data science, ultimately taking different imagery types and trying to solve solutions for the utility industry.
I'm curious, by chance, do you believe that a higher form of non-human intelligence has visited this planet?
I'm certain of that.
You're certain? How certain are you?
100%.
I mean, Jordan, that's a pretty bold statement. Where does that certainty come from?
That certainty comes from my firsthand experience in what I term a psionic exploitation program between the years of 2005 and 2010, where I interfaced and worked with non-human intelligence and things like UAP directly.
I mean, Jordan, that is an incredible claim. For the viewer at home, what were you doing in this program on a daily basis?
Yeah, so this would look at like things that many people would consider woo-woo-y, right? Like astral projection or meditation. But ultimately, what we were really investigating was how far could we stretch the bounds of human consciousness. Beyond that, how could we get human consciousness to interface directly with things like recovered materials and recovered crafts? What I can tell you from the craft and some of the different projects that we worked on directly is ultimately that they interfaced with us. What I mean by that is my consciousness could project into these craft and recovered materials and then access a suite of commands, essentially capabilities to do various things, including piloting. But ultimately, the story is not about piloting some UAP with your mind. This story is much more about what is consciousness?
Yeah.
Why can we interface with these things?
Do you have material that supports these claims?
I have tons of material, linearly autobiographical records that will support my claims.
Hi, my name's Jordan Jozak. You may know me from the recent Skywatcher series, where myself, among other folks like Jacob Barber, gave testimony about our experiences in covert and compartmented programs. That was last year, August. I gave testimony in that video where I described my first-hand experience with non-human intelligence and the affiliated technology. Today is October 13th, 2025, and to date, no one from Congress has contacted me. So, I figured I'd like to tell my own story this time. Instead of going on big shows where everyone's trying to control a narrative and present their own flavor of the same pie, I think it's time we have an honest conversation about what's actually going on. And the truth is, it's not easy to explain. In fact, I'm not even sure if I know how to exactly explain it, but here's the basics. If you watch the Skywatcher series, you saw me claim that I was in a psionic exploitation program between the years of 2005 and 2010. And if you're looking at me and trying to do the age comparison, well, you're right. I'm age 30. In 2005 and 2010, I was ages 9 and 14. This is one of the difficult things that we're going to have to navigate if we desire disclosure as a nation. There are very uncomfortable truths regarding the past programmatic nature of the program itself. And quite frankly, I didn't ask for any of this. I was scouted within the school system through the Gifted and Talented Education Network. In 2005, I began a relationship with a psychologist who would come into my school district, and I would begin to become separated from the rest of my classmates. This continued on, a relationship where my parents were not fully given the truth of why I was seeing a psychologist or why the school district was recommending that I would see them after hours. But this relationship progressed for a few years. What was happening during that time was that I was progressing through the outer areas of a psionic recruitment program that, to my knowledge, has been running throughout the United States for some time. You don't have to look too far to look back at Gifted and Talented Education Initiatives, as well as TAG, Talented and Gifted Initiatives as well. The problem being is not all of that is bad. However, for those that are familiar with how intelligence operations work, they work covertly. They work through channels that carry plausible deniability. And that was the nature of what happened to me. In 2008, I was progressing and excelling within the program to the point that they removed me from the public school district. And for 2 years, I attended school at what seemed like a very normal, lockdown, scan in, scan out, off-site facility. My parents were just told that I was going there to get better. I just needed mental health treatment. But what they didn't know is that facility was a cover for a much larger program where I interacted with non-human intelligence and its associated technology. I interacted with a piece of technology known as Sylvia within the program. And that's where things get very difficult. Up to this point, the conversation within the Disclosure Network has been solely focused on the nuts and bolts characteristics, the UAP, the tech, the flying saucers, and everything else imaginable in the materialistic sense. But there's a big missing link in how we navigate this, and that missing link is consciousness. We need to have an honest conversation about ourselves. Psi has been a missing link not only within science, physics, but just our overall advancement and evolution as a human species. Components of the program are well familiar that consciousness is non-local. And what does that mean? Well, it means that our essence is more than our body. We can have out-of-body experiences, and we can perhaps imprint or even affect the reality around us. So what does that mean? Well, that means that you are very much in control of your own reality. Your thoughts do become things, and the whole age-old addict of The Secret or manifestation is, in my mind, things that are very true, and things that I was trained on to exploit within the program. See, we weren't doing things like getting in a secret spaceship or going to underground bases and meeting with aliens. We were using consciousness technology that engaged with us, and they needed very special kids to do that. Within the program for those 2 years, I worked with autistic non-speakers, and the abuses that I saw committed were disgusting. While I was a kid who had a voice and could use my body, I could kick and scream when the experiments were getting bad. But for those that were non-speaking or non-moving, they had a much more difficult time. And there needs to be a serious investigation into this programmatic nature. Now, what is the program? Well, that's a whole other problem. Most people understand this component of a legacy program, which in my mind is exactly how the beginning started. However, more recently, every single agency has got their hands on either some aspect of this research or some aspect of the program itself. While everyone would love to think that there's a centralized, beautiful little board that has all this compartmented and they're just not releasing it, the real truth is shit is so much more messy than that. Let me tell you. I don't know exactly what the pathway forward is here, but we need to really rapidly scale up our research into consciousness. And I think right now AI is providing us the ability to take a rapid step. We don't need our government to tell us what we already know. The truth is out there, and there's many individuals like myself who are trying to find their voice to bring this to others. None of us want problems. None of us want to burn down the system, and none of us are sitting here on a soapbox telling you that you should feel bad for me. In fact, my story is much different. I did go through hell. Many other kids went through hell, and we worked firsthand in these programs at a young age. From that point forward, you either went further into the DoD establishment or you stayed on the outside, which I did for many years. I stand here today to take a stand, to challenge all of us to think differently, and that's why I'm launching 3 crowdfunded projects: Night Under the Stars, the Telepathy Center, and Legacy Voices. I first want to talk about Legacy Voices. There are many people like myself with first-hand knowledge, psi protocols, first-hand experiencers, and a whole untapped community of experiencers, of people experiencing things like direct contact or altered states of consciousness with shared messages and synchronicities. It's clear that there's something like an awakening potentially happening to human consciousness, and we're still focused on drones. What if all of this is a wake-up call for us to think differently and to think bigger? So that 3-part process, Legacy Voices, is designed to give voices to those that have credible information and first-hand experiences. We want to leverage AI to do pattern recognition, to bring whatever intuitive information can be gleaned that could potentially further resources as we begin to look into the aspects of the phenomenon. It's not just consciousness, it's not just nuts and bolts, and frankly, it's not just plasma. It's all of it at the same time. I think we're potentially evolving. Maybe we're at the techno-singularity. Maybe that this is a dimensional shift in nature that we're experiencing, and all of this is like a mismatch of thoughts as we navigate this bumpy terrain together. However, one thing's incredibly important to me: that these voices get out, that those that have information can get their testimony to researchers. And AI is the only way to do that. So we're proposing an online platform that uses webcam capabilities to scale and ingest testimonies from both experiencers as well as those that have first-hand information and feel comfortable sharing that. More to find on the links below. Beyond that, I'm launching an experiential series called Night Under the Stars, where you can come and experience exactly what happened at Esalen Institute last year, where Ross Coulthard gave testimony of my experience where blue orbs came and interacted with us. I'm not doing this to further UAP research. I'm doing this to further research within ourselves. I think if we all open our hearts and explore meditative practices, the phenomena seems to engage with us. Well, what does that mean? I don't know, but we should be looking there together. We should be bringing sensors. Maybe we don't need a masculine militaristic edge trying to control what is the next leap for humanity. Maybe we should take a different approach and ask the phenomena, what's going on here? And lastly, I'm launching the Telepathy Center, where I hope to bring together those on the concepts of spirituality, consciousness, as well as research, and put all of these different ingredients into the same chamber and see if we can rapidly scale together our understanding as well. I don't think we're just missing physics. I think there's a culmination of things all along the way that we need to begin taking a look at. And some of that's in ancient esoteric traditions. Some of that's in our religious frameworks. Some of that's in spirituality, and some of that's right here. We in the Western world need to take a different approach to how we look at this. And I challenge everyone, whether you're a legacy program member or not, to use your voice. Don't fall for the falling system, and get out there and make a difference. For those that have been looking at my history and asking some questions, I wanted to share a story. Someone asked me recently if I was actually an arborist or if that was some cover job. The truth is, I love trees, and I really was an arborist, a certified one, for many years. In fact, in consciousness research, there's so much gleaning of telepathy actually within fungal networks of trees. We should be looking there. We should be bringing scientists out to not only nature as we question the stars, but also our own hearts as we question our own souls. I'll leave you with a picture of one of my favorite trees. Maybe you've seen it before.
You guys heard it. It sounds like there's a dark side to all of this. I've been talking about this for over 4 years, how there's an underhanded side to all of this, where there's been experimentation on young children in order to see if they've got telepathic abilities. So now we've got more and more people coming out from inside the actual programs saying that everything that we've been talking about is totally real. You guys already know, if you've been following me, that I'm already working with Mike Batista, the psionic asset from Team Skywatcher, and also J2, who has stepped forward, who is a psionic asset for Team Skywatcher. They're both publishing books. J2 has already released his psionic book about how to do telepathy and how to do psionics. And they're also both flying out to work with me and driving up to work with me over Halloween weekend. We still have a whole other video, a full hour and 20 minutes, where me and Mike Batista were summoning UFOs up at Thunderstrike Ranch, and we're going to be going back up to Skinwalker territory and doing a whole lot more. And so make sure and like this video and comment, because I think we need to recruit this new guy to get him to come out of the black projects, out of all of the red tape, and to be able to come out and work with us so we can get more open disclosure and more public work. Maybe he's got some UFO footage. He's probably got more personal stories to tell. Obviously, he's seen a lot. He's been inside the programs. He's been used as a psionic asset and been training since he was like 9 years old. So I think he's got a lot to tell. Make sure and leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Do you think telepathy is real? Do you think UFOs are real? And should we get him on the Crusher Crew or the United Alliance of Psionics? That's what we're starting to call the team now. Going to be coming out with all of his stuff on YouTube, Patreon, and everywhere. If you want to go learn the inner secrets, that's how you do it. And a third one above it. There's the third one coming down. Look, yeah. Straight down. Look how bright that one's getting. Whoa. Another one coming up. And they're just like a pier. It's going the other way now. This one's going left, yeah. Look at that. Oh my gosh, dude. On the night vision, it is obvious. Whoa, I just got a big shooting star. Yeah, it's moving like it's going away from us now.
Yeah, when it's going up. Wow.
Going up and up and up and up. Faster, 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 faster. Look at it go away. Look at it, how fast it's going.